What's up, folks? Do you want to take your training to the next level? I bet you do. That's why you're here, right? If you want to get the intensity right in your training, you have to learn what training to failure actually feels like. I'm going to give you a very simple illustration of what the two types of failure look like, how to spot them, and when to use them. So join me. So as I begin the exercise, the first several reps come with relative ease. Full range of motion is present, and the exercise form is exactly as planned. Exercise form should be specific to the stimulus and the goal for the exercise. In this case, the purpose is to maximize my lat activation with near maximal range of motion for the lat muscle. As fatigue builds, speed and power are lower as less force can be produced. And here I'll take a screenshot of the form so that we can compare it with later reps. The first type of failure that I'll reach is technical failure. This is when the technique of your exercise starts to break down such that with subsequent reps, while you might be able to manage them, you won't be able to maintain the same form that you're striving for in your training. This can be characterized by a failure to reach full range of motion, or by excessive compensation or cheating to complete the rep, or by a large change in tempo or the use of extra momentum to complete the rep. In this example, you can see that after this rep, I fail to complete the full range of motion on subsequent reps. So the first rep where I don't pull down all the way is where technical failure is reached. And here I'll grab a second screenshot to compare with the first one I took. So here we have the same position, 11 reps apart on either side of technical failure. Visually, what difference do you see between these two images? I notice that on the right, my teres major muscle, the bottom of my scapula, is much more defined. As my lats approach absolute muscular failure, I'm recruiting auxiliary muscles like the teres major to complete each rep, which gives this visual cue that my lats don't have much gas left. Few more reps and I'll reach muscular failure. This is where the muscle truly stops being able to produce enough force to do the exercise. Generally, this process is only beginning when technical failure is achieved. You can usually continue producing force by sacrificing range of motion, form compensation, or lowering the weight until muscular failure. Here I'm throwing in the towel on the set when I can only achieve half of the original range of motion and I feel my lats failing to respond. Further work from here just wouldn't be productive. So now that we know how to identify these concepts, how can we actually apply them? As a beginner, filming yourself is key to accurately judge when technical failure has been achieved. It could be much sooner or later than you actually think. Breakdown in technique can be very subtle and you won't always notice it in real time. Would you have been able to see it in this video if I hadn't paused and pointed it out for you? Now imagine how much more difficult it is if you're not even filming yourself. With more experience, you'll be able to judge it more by feel, but in order to acquire that experience for the feel, you have to actually practice going to technical failure and beyond. I'd advise novices to visit technical and muscular failure roughly monthly for each exercise, so that the intensity can be accurately modulated for the rest of your training cycle. Even if you want to normally train with 3 reps in reserve, you need to actually go to 0 reps in reserve to have any chance of calculating 3 reps in reserve accurately. Technical and muscular failure are tools which can be used for a variety of training applications, but as a general rule, I'd advise stopping 1 to 2 reps shy of technical failure on heavier compound lifts, where the potential for injury and for grinding through reps with excessive compensation from other parts of the body is highest. I'd recommend hitting technical failure or muscular failure on isolation exercises, where there's no history of injury and where muscle hypertrophy is desired, or any exercise where you struggle to establish a strong mind-muscle connection. That's why I'm doing this here, as I've struggled to connect with my lats, despite being capable of a 40-kilogram weighted pull-up, and so this exercise is really helping me develop that connection by truly working to muscular failure.